So let's have a look at one of the drones in our arsenal. Right now you can see how I have the Mavic 2 Pro Enterprise Dual Drone. It's got a very slim profile. Now this drone itself will not be used to do flare stack inspections from a distance 100 and 150 feet. That's not what it was designed to do. Where the drone which we'll see next, the large M200 drone, that's the drone we use to fly from a distance and zoom in. It's a much larger drone. It's got a large battery capacity and it's got a big wingspan to be able to hold those sensors we need to zoom in. This drone has been designed a little bit differently. Because of its slim profile, it can actually fold up pretty small. So what this does, when we do inspections or asset inspections, we can get nice and close into areas that our camera that's 150 feet away cannot get into. Now I can literally fly down, and I can actually fly indoors and under roofs and under piping, because this drone also has a thermal imaging camera and an RGB camera side by side. So a lot of neat technology crammed into this drone. It also has a 360 degrees visual sensing system, so it can actually look at its surroundings and measure objects as it's flying to stop it from flying into objects. So that's how we use this little drone in hard to reach areas or indoor areas, or areas where if the drone had to crash, which very rarely happens, right? It's not going to create any any damage to any of your asset. So that's how we use this drone, because of its small profile, but the technology is crammed into it. And really, we use this during our deluge inspections. We can really get up to those valves which are high. Instead of trying to climb ladders and build scaffolding, then take pictures, we can literally fly this drone up as high as we need, get nice and close, and get high resolution images at 20 megapixels. So this is what this drone is used for. It's used as an added accessory to our big drone, but although it's so small and compact, it packs a punch with the technology that's been crammed into it. And as I said, it's got full 360 degree vision system, so it will not crash into objects. And I can set the parameters of that visual sensing system. So for instance, I can say, if you come within 10 feet of any object, I want you to stop and turn on the brakes, and it'll do that. Or if I really need to get closer, I can change the parameters to 1-2 feet, and you can really get close and take some nice pictures. But that's not all we can do with that. As a service, we can also offer to our customers to train your operations and maintenance team how to fly this, right? So you can have it in the OIM's office, and if need be, if any alarms go off and you want to get a good visual day or night, you take the drone, let it fly, and you can fly it to that area and have a good visual, and now you can make an informed decision about what you're looking at. So it's not just a case of us coming out there inspecting. We can also train you how to use this as a tool. If you have rope access teams on your installation, you can fly, you can have a look at what they're doing, you can take images, you can fly around your asset and do general holistic inspections. So that's also a service we provide. And this particular drone comes with some accessories. So it comes with an LED spotlight, and the technology in LEDs nowadays is amazing. These things are super bright. We can attach the spotlights to our drone, and we can now fly at night, shine the LEDs on our asset and take images. Right. We can also, when we want to tell people that we're flying, there's another LED, which is our LED beacon. When we have to fly further distances or at nighttime, this is a super bright LED beacon which attaches on the top. Now we can get a visual of our drone. Remember, we always need to have this visual line of sight. Then we have a speaker connection. Now this is a really neat connection which goes on the top of the drone, and we can use these for our man overboard situations or in our FRCs. Right, so we have a man overboard situation, or we have an emergency and we want to communicate with somebody. We're communicating with a radio or just verbally, vocally is out of the question. Well, now we can get the drone into the air and we can relay our voice through our controller into the speaker, and we can communicate with people through the speaker in an emergency if need be. And this is how this drone was designed, to be able to take these different components and accessories and interchange them. Right? So we can get a visual at night with our LED spotlights. We can see where our drone is when we're flying at a further distance, and we can also use it for emergency situations and communicate with people in the water or people on the asset that don't have the communications available during during the emergency. So as I said, just to recap, this drone is not going to be used for our big high intensity inspections and thermal imaging. It's going to be used as an added extra when we want to get into tight and confined spaces, to get in there and take those images because of the 360 vision system. But we can also use it as a general tool during operations to get into the air and take some pictures and to get a good holistic view of what's happening on the installation. And then finally, for your emergency response and crisis management, man overboard situations, it's so good to get an eye in the sky as quick as possible and transmit that data. Now we have a good visual of what's happening, and really helps us to make informed decisions. Right, so next we're going to look at the M200 series drone with our big large thermal imaging camera and our big zoom cameras. So see you in the next section. And finally, we're going to look at our M200 drone, which we use for our inspections. Now, opposed to the smaller drone that we saw previously, which we used to get into tight spaces, this is the drone, the M200, that will fly from a distance 100 and 150 feet away from the installation, and then we'll use the sensors on this drone to do the work. Now, the smaller drone we showed you before, it only has one sensor built into the drone, and that sensor is your radiothermic sensor and then your RGB, and it's not interchangeable. Where this drone comes into its own, it can take a heavy payload, hence the size of it, the battery capacity. It can take a payload, as I said. So what we have on this drone to do those inspections, over here what you can see, we have a 30 times zoom lens, and this is an optical zoom, it's not a digital zoom. So when you zoom in with this lens using the optical zoom and the glass on the lens itself, we don't lose any resolution. So even from 400, 500 feet away, we can zoom in and still get a good picture. But when we're at this 100, 150 feet away, we can physically zoom in, and in some cases we can even see serial numbers on the assets. So a great tool to have. Then in conjunction with the zoom camera, we have the FLIR XT, FLIR infrared camera or thermal camera. This is a high-end thermal imaging camera. 10 years ago, this thermal camera would have been this size, a big ball on the bottom of a fixed wing aircraft. So you can see the technology built into this, specifically designed for your infrastructure inspections. And what we have over here, this is our RTK satellite system. So what that means is when we offshore, we actually build our own frequency for communications or telling us where the drone is. We have a base station. The base station on the installation communicates with these two, and it creates a GPS environment, so we don't always have to use satellites to navigate. Now, why are satellites key? Well, it gives us stability to the drone, and because this drone is got a larger profile, bigger props, and a stronger capacity in terms of power, we can really fight the wind. So when we're in the air and we want to take still images and video, we don't want the drone to be moving in the wind. That's where these come into their own. They use GPS communications, and it keeps this drone very, very stable, and we're able to zoom in from a distance and do our inspections. So with the combination of these two sensors, the 30 times zoom lens and our thermal imaging camera, this is a high-end tool to do our infrastructure inspections. But that being said, this is also the same drone we'll use on our pipelines, in our midstream and our downstream and our refineries. We can remove these sensors, and now we can add our optical gas imaging camera at the bottom of this drone. So it's interchangeable. Depending on the work we need to do, we can change out the sensors on the drone. As I said, the optical gas imaging drone, we can also use a methane laser sensor at the bottom of this. If we don't want to use optical gas imaging, we add a methane laser tester to the bottom of this, and we can do close methane testing inspections as well. So this drone was specifically designed to be able to fly in unsavory conditions, because it would be a lot more stable because of the power it has and the wingspan, but interchangeable sensors. And when it comes to our workhorse in our department, this is really the go-to tool. It's very versatile, and it's really stable in the air. And as I said, we stay a long distance away from your asset, keeping ourselves and the asset and the workforce on your asset safe as well. So this is the go-to drone for us when it comes to those flare stack inspections as well. Right, so that concludes the short introductory video about SIRON Aerial Solutions. I hope you enjoyed it, and please feel free to contact us via email or phone, and we can really give you an in-depth understanding of how drones and UAV technology can seamlessly fit into your workflow. So thank you so much, and as always from SIRON, be safe out there. Thank you.